Alrighty, this video is from Chapter 5, which is the chapter dealing with the ratios. And we'll start off with this problem. And let me just make a note over on the pad here as to this problem. It says they want us to describe or to give them, find, this is the word they use, find the fractional notation for the ratio 4.5 to 35, and they say don't simplify. Alrighty, so let's look at the pad for a few minutes on this one. This is something we can do here. Now you notice they specified they wanted fraction notation. All right. You say, well, what other notations are there? Well, this is one notation, 4.5 to 35. We could have had 4.5 colon 35. And then the fraction notation format is to simply say it's 4.5 over or to 35. Now, you say, well, okay, what this looks like sort of an unusual fraction. And I say it's an unusual fraction because generally we don't see a decimal value included also in a fraction. And I'll talk about that in just a bit. But so this is simply just a way to compare two quantities. All right, so a ratio, and that's what this is a way to compare two quantities. It's a way to compare two quantities. And you say, okay, so give me an example. Well, if you had 35 items, and I'm not sure what those items might be. Let's just say you had 35 of these X marks, okay? And I'm probably not gonna sketch out 35. I'm just gonna do enough so you can get an idea of 35 would be, a pretty good number of things. Okay, so 35. And how many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So maybe a little more than 35 even. So anyhow, so you have a fairly large number of objects, 35. And you say, well, some of those objects have a little square around them. Some of them do. Not all of them, but some of them. And so you say, well, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this one's kind of weird. It looks like it has only half of a square around that little X, okay? So it's just a way to have a way to express a way to compare two quantities. Now, the instructions said do not simplify, all right? Do not simplify. But I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm not going to put it in Mathematics5, but I am going to go ahead and show you how to do that. When you have a fraction like this and they ask you to simplify it, what they're basically wanting you to do is they want you to remove the decimal point if you have one in there. And how can you do that? Well, remember, if you multiply by 10 and you multiply by 10, you're going to have what we would classify as an equivalent ratio, still in fraction form, except the numbers have changed. And you say, yeah, I can say I did that. You use that idea of a number over itself is equal to 1, and I multiplied through the top and the bottom by the same value. Multiplying by 10 shifts this decimal point one place and makes it a whole number. And then 10 here shifts this one over, and now it turns it into 350. So you say, well, those look a lot different. Yes, they do look a lot different, but they represent the same relative amount. Okay, now think about that word for a second, relative amount. So if you had 4.5 out of 35 like this, it would be the same relative amount, or, and I hate to use this word, proportional amount, as if you had 45 out of 350. So 45 over 35, 4.5, I said that wrong. 4.5 over 35. 4.5 over 35 is what Mathematics5 wants. So 4.5, 35, and check our answer. And they say, next question. Okay, so we did pretty good on that, didn't we? I think so.